Namaste. Welcome back, beautiful souls. This is Top Tarot Miners, and today is the Five of Pentacles. Welcome to this conversation, ongoing 56 card series. And this is not an easy card. I have fewer cards on the table today, and I'd like to spend some time describing what I see in these cards and some different ways that you might approach the Five of Pentacles. If you are new, my name is Sadhana, and welcome to the conversation, whether you are here presently or coming back to share your thoughts in the comments, which I greatly appreciate. All right, so I don't know where to begin. Each of these cards is equally poignant. And perhaps, let's start with the Crow Tarot tonight. And I will zoom in a little bit here. Find my way. Okay. I love the bits of green in this card. And one other piece of paper. So this is the Crow Tarot by M.J. Cullinane. Okay. So like the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, you will see that some crows have left home. They have left the abundance, the light that is in the tree, and chosen to venture out into the darkness, into the storm. And something I've come to understand about all of the fives is the nature of the challenge of going forward. And I have come to call the fives in general bridge cards, a bridge between the 4 and the 6, a bridge between the early numbers and the later numbers. The bridge I often visualize as this narrow passage that we need to go through in order to carry on our journey. Bridge also connects us to the word pontiff and the connection to the 5, the Hierophant. Bridge for me is often, it could be a suspension bridge, it could be a rickety old bridge across over a canyon. There's something perilous about it. And there could be a sense of fear as well too. There's a sense of unknown, not knowing what's on the other side. And yet somehow, deep within my soul, I know that in order to grow, I must leave. I must go forward. Welcome to Phyllis. And so, yeah, it's very hard. And when I look at the 5 of Pentacles, I'm often thinking of someone who chose to leave home because there are people who don't see me the way that I want to be seen. We don't meet our way of thinking, our way of being. It could be due to old family culture and ties. It could be any number of things. And I think of a couple of clients who chose to marry outside of their culture. And this kind of experience, I feel, for both sides, so much compassion for the parents who don't understand why their child would choose to date or marry someone from another culture or religion. why they would not choose to stay and support the family business. And yet this could also be something like coming out of or revealing your gender and coming out in a way that meant you weren't able to stay with the familiar. And yet somehow there's this sense of, I know in this card that I'm navigating the challenges of this material world, and it's dense and it's dark and it's really difficult. And I love the storm here in the Crow Tarot, this illusion that, sorry, a lot of passion here, shaking the table. I think there's an illusion that all is well at home. The grass is greener at home. Perhaps if you never want to change the status quo, it is. And so it may mean for a time you may not have as much money, you may not have as much comfort. There may very well be material hardships. And yet if you look at this as something deeply connected to your soul's journey, it can take on a new meaning. This card here in the center, I haven't shown you one of the cards from this deck for a while. This is from the Star Seeker Tarot. And I see almost like a devil figure in this tree. You can see the horns and all the branches coming out. The branches are bare. Within the tree, there may be a hollow. There might be a figure within the tree. There could be a sacred place to hide in the tree. And I think this, the way that I'm seeing the devil in this card is the connection to, devil is 15, right? So the arcanum is 15. So that is another 5 connecting us to this story. And yet this person is finding shelter or comfort leaning up against this tree. And the fact that they find comfort in the devil, I don't know where to go with this. When we have challenges in this material world, sometimes we make choices that we wouldn't necessarily make if these challenges weren't presenting themselves. And I feel like every step along the way in this card, things present themselves because this is exactly the path that you need to navigate. The 5 coins in this card are up atop the tree. They look silver, illuminated, almost unreachable. They're very far away from the bottom of the tree. 5 also connects us to the 5th Sephira on the Tree of Life. And when I think about the planet Mars and that Sephira and the journey from the 4th Sephira of manifestation to the 5th to the 6th Sephira, that pathway, it's one of determination and a fire within that knows there's more and knows that indeed I do have a sacred purpose, and in order to get there, in order to find that, I'm going to have to wander through some serious challenges. Now, sometimes those challenges present as grief, and I have a couple of cards here that, we could see that energy in many 5 of Pentacles cards. But let's look at, so the story of Demeter. Most of you know that myth. I'll read you a little bit from the dark. This is the Dark Goddess Tarot. This is the Wild Unknown, and this is the Wildwood Tarot. Let's look at the card in the center. This is the Wild Unknown. For years, I looked at this card and I saw a well, and I saw the 5 pentacles sitting atop a well. This rose wilting in the darkness in a well. And then one day I was looking at this card and I saw the 5 pentacles as a pearl necklace and the rose as the heart space, wilting, a wilted heart space. And so we were looking here likely at the breast of a woman, and ache, pain, sadness, loss, grief. And I've never been able to see this card as a well again. And when I look at the Demeter card and contemplate the story of Persephone and Demeter, and I look at the card in the wildwood, part of that journey is one of loss, leaving something behind. Could be a loved one. Somebody could have died. You could have traversed through divorce, loss of a home, loss of a job. And the stages of grief, the journey of grief, is one that requires slow, step-by-step, moving forward, observing, and it's so different for every person. And also, I have a connection to that wildwood card, and I remember this was a long time ago. I was 13 years old when my father died. And in that moment, I needed to be alone. I did not want to be comforted or surrounded by people. And I remember choosing to hide, to be alone, and being really angry when people found me and said, "Oh, no, you can't be alone at a time like this. You need to be with people and family." And I look at this card and I almost see me as a little girl honoring the experience of loss and feeling it, observing it, feeling it. And there's certainly powerful feeling in both the Demeter card and the wild unknown. I also love that fire that's part of the, there's just so many little things in the wildwood card. You see the lightning strike that connects also to perhaps the tower in that card. We see lots of lightning bolts as well too in the Wild Unknown Tarot. So we know there's a transformation of some sort that is happening here. And there's warmth, there's hope, there's protection from the cave, and yet we are a little chilly. It's not easy to venture out on your own. So I'm going to read from the Dark Goddess Tarot. Demeter, the Olympian goddess of agriculture and grain, the sustainer of humanity. She is the goddess of the fertile earth, and in early times the secrets of that fertility are known to her alone. Her power of agriculture is shared only after she suffers a terrible loss and undergoes a painful journey. Her daughter Persephone disappears. Demeter is distraught and searches the earth from the fields of sunrise to the islands of the west. She does not eat. She does not wash. Her shining robes turn to rags. And when she discovers that the Lord of the underworld took her child, and the father god Zeus allowed it, her hot grief turns to stone cold rage. She turns her back on Mount Olympus and the gods. Demeter wanders the earth again, no longer searching, but still suffering. She arrives in the town of Eleusis. The people cannot see she is a goddess, ragged and shrouded as she is, but they see she is noble and in need, and she is welcomed kindly and offered food, although the harvest has not been good. For as Demeter hurts, so does the earth. Nothing grows but famine when she knows agony. I'm going to leave it at that because I'm sure most of you know this myth. But there's something here also in this story, and that has to do with the reflection of the grief on the outside as a poor harvest. And that can be something that is manifest, literally, because we feel malnourished, because we feel poor, at a loss. That is what we observe on the outside, and that is what is on the outside. And it is also a perception. So I think this is a brilliant myth to have here for this card, for the Five of Pentacles. And only one other card I have for you on the table tonight. And this is one that I have sat with and shared many times. I'm going to put it down and zoom in. Now, the artist's name I should know by heart. Massimo is the first name, but if you Google famous photograph, refugees crossing Mediterranean, Italian photographer, Massimo, you'll find it. Now, the picture here is quite blurry, but if you don't know this photograph, there are lots of colored dots here, which are the heads of this packed boat of refugees. So this would be an aerial photograph. And this boat is crossing from northern Africa to the southern part of Europe, crossing the Mediterranean. And here we see the coins behind the boat. And I sit in contemplation of all that is left behind. The coins are all left behind. They may be in tow, but somehow I envision them sort of falling away as the boat moves forwards. Perhaps one coin represents a language, a familiar tongue, a comfortable way of communicating. Maybe one coin represents a home or even a profession. Maybe one coin represents the community that I have left. And these coins are all connected to the goodness of a life I once had. And perhaps I am fleeing because of a shift in government. And this could be from a colonial government. This could also be from a coup within the country, among other reasons, famine. And regardless of the reason for leaving, we know that we can no longer stay. Things just aren't the way they were. And the only way forward is to leave everything behind, to leave these 5 gold coins behind. And this is one of the hardest things to do. There's a book, I know it's popular to read in high school, young high school years. It's called Refugee. It's a 3 or 4 stories of refugees from different perspectives. One traveling from Cuba to the US, one is going from the Middle East to the UK, I believe. There's different refugee stories, and it's so poignant, so very, very poignant. And so when I think about the Five of Pentacles, I mean, I work in the public school system and was having a conversation last week with a custodian, and he was very brave in asking me about how to express something in English and allowing me to correct his English. And I commended him. I said, that's amazing that you're asking for clarification. Most people don't do that. And he says, I know, because it's humiliating. I'm so confident I can get up and speak publicly in Arabic in front of a large group of people, but in English, I hesitate to speak. And his English was very good. So really, really commending him. And then I also think about, well, let's use custodians again. I have met many a lower level worker who in Canada can only find this kind of a job, but had they been able to stay in their home country, maybe they were an engineer or a doctor, and had a respected profession. But due to government regulations, lack of paperwork, whatever the reason, they will never be able to work in that profession again. And it's an arduous journey. And so the different stories connect to this. And of course, it's not always so severe when this card arises, but I do love to really expand my perception when the Five of Pentacles shows up, because perhaps there is a thread connecting to even ancestral trauma, patterns, maybe something that a decision that you made some years ago. It could be something that is quite present, of course. So I want to talk about grief and loss, and how that is also reflecting in other family members at this time. So thank you for listening. So for today, I only have 6 cards on the table. So I'm going to remove the Star Seeker, but I did want to show you this one because not very often when I think about this card do I connect it to the energy of the devil, and I can't not see that in this particular Five of Pentacles. And so for a beautiful rendition of the Waite-Smith energy, I choose the Crow, and this perfect myth that matches this energy, the Dark Goddess Tarot, Wild Unknown for this new vision, well, newish. All-time favorite Five of Pentacles, Dust to Onyx, and one of my favorite tarot decks, Wildwood Tarot. So thank you. I will be back likely tomorrow for the Six of Pentacles, and thank you for following along and commenting on so many of these videos. Appreciate you all. Take good care. Namaste.